Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be talking about the differences between slicers, how to choose a slicer, just some basic quick run-throughs. We're not getting super detailed with this video, but when you're picking a slicer to use and master, why and what should you consider? Here at Vision Miner, we pretty much use Simplify 3D. And I know, V5 isn't out yet. When will it be? I have no idea. That's actually a great question. You should go comment on Simplify 3D's Twitter, Instagram, etc. Everybody's doing it now. And frankly, I don't know if it's even being developed anymore.
Why do I use an old software that costs money to use? Why do I only want to support that here at Vision Miner when there's Cura that's free and very powerful
and constantly updated with awesome new features?
It is much easier to use. The interface is much easier and much faster. The way I like to slice is I like to start from scratch. I don't need any, I make the changes. Width, nozzle height, all the standard stuff, but I can choose, I want to be able to choose exactly which layer the fan comes on and how strong it is, and when it stops. And I want to say, after 36 millimeters, I want it to print at this layer height. All things I'm pretty sure Cura can do, but it's so easy to do and simplify that I can rapidly just get a file out there. And dual extrusion. I like the dual extrusion wizard makes life so much easier. It works.
I think a lot of this too comes down to experience. You know, we've been using Simplify 3D for 5-6 years now, and so we know the ins and outs. We know how it's going to behave. We know how it's going to do that type of corner, and so we know where to go to change things like thin wall behavior, or do you want to do
gap fill perimeter only?
Right.
You know,
single extrusion walls, etc. We know it inside and out, and this is a big factor when you're picking a slicer. There's super slicers. There's slicer, Slic3r, whatever you want to call it. There's Ideamaker, things like that, Matterport, other things from other companies. And just out of them all, it comes down to experience, I think.
It comes down to experience, but I use Simplify 3D at work. And when I go home and I print a lot at home, I use Cura.
Right.
And to live with on a day-to-day basis, I will choose Simplify.
Yeah.
Setting up a new machine. Everything.
Oh, yeah.
It might not be as fully feature-packed, but when you're living in the high-temp world, you don't want to do fuzzy skin or experimental set. You're not,
Yeah. Gyroid infill is super cool.
That's the one thing is Cura is getting super good
There's
lightning
so many things.
infill.
Like, we have almost switched to Cura as a company so many times because we're like,
Here's the deal. They don't do high temp. I want to be able to give people a profile for Cura, but in order to go to 500C, you're going to have to go in and modify a core JSON file and replace it. And that's just to get it to not spit out errors. You try to put in 450C and it just won't even slice, and that's the issue.
Yeah.
So Cura, are you listening, dude? We need a 22 IDEX profile.
Let's do it. Let's freaking do it. Now, that being said, if you're starting out, you got a consumer machine, then yeah, just go with Cura, learn all the settings. It's extremely extensible. If you can, spend the extra money and you're getting into high temperature functional 3D printing, which is what we specialize in here at Vision Miner, we support Simplify 3D. We use it every day. It works fantastic. By the way, if you need 3D scanners, 3D printers, high temp materials, anything functional related to 3D printing, we supply that all at visionminer.com, and that's how we make more of these videos. So thank you all for doing that, and subscribe if you're liking this content. Also leave a comment down below if you've got specific questions, and we love reading your comments and getting new ideas from all of that.
What slicer do you use and why?
That's a great question.
Yeah,
that is.
let's
see what the community says. What is everybody using? I know there's a ton of fans out there for Slic3r, Prusa Slicer,
Can someone
which is
confirm
slicer.
if that's how you actually say it? I've heard
Slic3r
it drives
or
me
slicer?
nuts.
I think it's slicer with a
It should
slicer
be,
with
but
a
I
3.
think it's Slic3r. This is tearing me apart inside.
If your machine came with one, like Race
Ooh,
3D,
SLA, man,
or
too,
I mean, Markforged, you can't even change anything. We'll get into SLA in just a second. Intamsys has their own proprietary slicer called Intim Suite, and it's really just an old version of Cura that's been reskinned because it's open source, and they put some material profiles and everything else in there and some different machine settings and everything, so it's all set up and ready to go. Now, we've found in general that using our custom profiles and everything on Simplify, we can get better parts more easily because it's not locked down, it's the latest version, we understand it and we know it.
I think there are a lot of users that like that. They don't want to. So Intim Suite's actually, I like the way Intim Suite works, and this is why. You don't have to use Intim Suite. You're not locked into it. But you can use Intim Suite, and what Intim Suite does is, especially for the high temp stuff, limit your options and demystify and make it much more simple to actually just push, slice, and print something in Peak. So there's a tool. What I don't like are locked down slicers, meaning if you have this machine, this is the slicer you're using.
Oh, yeah.
I understand why they do it, and if we did it, it would probably make our lives a lot easier, but.
Well, and I think the why, I think it's really because the 3D printing industry is developing so quickly that in 3 months there might be a totally new material that's amazing. And to be able to run that, you need to be able to access all the settings and customize what you're doing. Or say you're using one of these other materials and they've got their profile for this, but this section of this part isn't working that well, and you can't change the settings. This is like Markforged. You can't change any settings on Markforged.
Controversial opinion. I get why they do it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. 80% of the parts, or sometimes more, will come out wonderfully, but it's not the most optional. Now, why they do it? I mean, proprietary system, less guesswork. They've got one material, and then you embed carbon fiber tow into that material in different ways, and everything.
Happier customers, less can go wrong. Use our thing. Or your part's going to be good.
And it's super slow, and that ensures success. But can you? Hey, I want 20 of these parts in a week instead of a month. Well, sorry, you've got these are your settings. So
think about it like a car. It's the difference if you're souping up a car, doing an engine swap, just being like, oh, I'm going to put this Integra motor in this, or building out a 2JZ. You have to know where everything goes, what the tolerances should be. The end result is going to be a lot more powerful and a lot, more crazy and impressive, but it's really hard to do compared to just saying, just put that one in there.
Yeah, definitely.
So it depends how into this you are. And it's not hard to learn it. You can figure it out. But it does require that initial investment of being like, okay, I'm going open source.
A couple weeks and Google, and you'll be fine.
That's how we did it.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, there's no degrees for this yet. You can't go to college and be an expert at slicing.
They're working on it though.
They're working on it. Oh yeah, a lot more stuff than 3 years ago.
There are additive manufacturing class. I just talked to a guy. What I get is a lot of customers concerned about the open source. They say it's going to be super complicated. I'm used to this. So it might be closed source or just this one particular slicer. And we say, we're fully open source. You can use whatever you want. You're just going to have to know how to tune for the different materials. That's not that hard. No. It sounds hard. But even if you have very little 3D, look, if you own an Ender 3 or you own an open source printer, you can figure it out. Yeah. If you've ever had to slice or change settings, you can figure it out.
100%. And check out our other videos on, there's no perfect profile, or how to tune like a pro. We go over, hey, this one part, we wanted, we could have sliced it and been done in a perfect profile with a 0.4 nozzle and 0.2 layer height and been done. It would have taken 36 hours to print this part. But we wanted to print this part in 10 hours or something like that. And so we used a 0.8 millimeter nozzle, and we were going extra fast at a 0.3 layer height in CF nylon, high temp CF nylon. So we had to figure out how does that combination of nozzle and speed and layer height actually behave. And so we tuned it in. There was like 27 different variations that took a day or two to go over. And then we had our final production part. And that had different quality than maybe the 0.4 millimeter nozzle, but it was being finished in process anyway, so that quality didn't matter. The surface roughness, it's a little bit rougher, or it's a little bit less, smooth overhangs and things like that. But it's all give and take depending on what you're trying to do with your part in the end. Are you printing it, taking it off the plate, and handing it to the customer, or are you printing 50 of them, running them through a vibratory tumbler, and then sealing them, and then selling them? Depending on what you're doing, especially if it's for business, usually it's more optimal to print at the bigger layer heights, the bigger nozzles, everything else faster to save yourself time, and then do a secondary post-processing thing and get a better part. I think that's...
I'm excited about Super Slicer. That seems powerful. Open source. Tell me if you guys like Super Slicer.
Super Slicer is pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. Anyway, on that note, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you like this content. We're coming out with a lot more. Leave a comment down below to let us know what you like. And of course, if you need anything functional 3D printing or 3D scanning or high-temp materials, we are always here to help. So give us a call, shoot us an email, check out visionminer.com and see all our wares. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Have a positive rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next video.